Today we're going to talk about a kind of alchemy, but not the kind that turns lead into gold. No, this is something way more useful. It's about how to transform those really tough, bitter moments in life into something, well, something sweet.
You know that feeling, right? When you hit a wall, a setback, a disappointment, a loss, and it just tastes bitter. It feels completely overwhelming, and you just can't imagine how things could get better.
And look, that's just part of being human. We all go through it. Acknowledging that is really the first step. These moments are going to happen. The real question isn't how to avoid them, it's what do we do when we're right in the middle of one?
To help us figure that out, we're going to borrow a word from a very old story. It's a single word that just perfectly nails this exact experience. And that word is Mara.
Mara. It literally means bitterness. And you know, just giving this feeling a name, it does something really powerful. It takes this huge, messy, chaotic emotion and it kind of puts a box around it. It lets you step back and say, okay, this is Mara. This is an experience I'm having instead of this is all I am right now. So where did this word come from anyway? Well, it's from this incredible parable, a story that isn't really just about bitterness. It's about the amazing, almost unbelievable possibility of transformation. This story is one of those that's been told for thousands of years because it works as this perfect metaphor for our own lives. It holds a really cool secret. Even when things feel as bitter as they can possibly be, the chance for something sweet might be right there in front of you.
Okay, so picture this. You are exhausted. You've been wandering through a desert and you are desperately thirsty. You finally find a spring of water. Can you imagine the relief? But then you taste it and it's completely bitter, undrinkable. It's the ultimate letdown. So they name the place Mara, right then and there. But then the story takes a turn. A piece of wood gets tossed into the water, and just like that, it becomes sweet, life-giving.
Now hold on. This isn't about some magical piece of wood. The story's not a magic trick. That wood, it's a symbol. It represents introducing a new element into the situation, a different perspective, a conscious choice you make. It's all about realizing you have some power, some agency, even in a really bitter situation. And this is where it gets really practical for us. This is the alchemy of our own lives. So how do we find our own piece of wood to throw into our own bitter waters?
What is that thing we can introduce to change the situation? Here's the secret. It's not something outside of you. The power, that alchemy, it's all in your head. It's in how you choose to look at and respond to what's happening.
Let's break this down because this is where it all clicks. On one side, you have the bitter reaction. That's when you see a problem and think, this is a curse. All you can focus on is the pain, and what grows from that? Resentment. But then you have the sweet response. You see the same exact event, but you think, this is a crucible. It's a place where I can be transformed. Your focus shifts to the lesson, and what grows from that is resilience. See? The event didn't change at all, but your whole experience of it did.
So how do we actually do this? This isn't just a nice idea, it's a skill, something you can practice and get better at. So let's open up the alchemical toolkit for getting through your own Mara moments.
All right, there are 5 key tools in here. First, reframe the story you're telling yourself. Instead of why me, try asking, what is this here to teach me? Second, actively hunt for the lesson. There's almost always an opportunity for growth hiding in there. Third, practice gratitude. Find just one tiny thing to be thankful for, even in the middle of the mess. Fourth, remember to choose your response. You can't control what happens to you, but you always control how you react. And finally, acknowledge the pain. This isn't about pretending it doesn't hurt. It's about taking that hardship and weaving it into your story of how you became stronger.
I just love this quote. It sums the whole thing up perfectly, doesn't it? The circumstance, the fire, it's the same for both. What's different is what the butter and the egg are made of on the inside. We get to choose. We can let our challenges melt us down, or we can choose to be hardened by them, strengthened and transformed.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What's the challenge you're facing right now? What's your own personal Mara? And more importantly, what's the wood? What new perspective, what tiny shift in focus can you introduce right now to start turning that bitterness into something sweet?